these two sides are a little bit further apart in the standings than Enclave and Lucendi were. That was a nice little sort of mid-table battle. Right here, Revenge are pushing up in that second position. They're hunting for that top spot. And Budapest 5, after a pretty good start to the season, they've had a bit of a tougher time of it so far. We're going to take a quick look at the standings at the moment as of Playday 4. So this is slightly outdated because we are currently on the final match of the Playday, but as you can see right there, Revenge GG actually positioned in that top spot at the moment. That's sort of half true, we'll say. Vex Gaming have received 6 points from the forfeit win that they were provided by Regnant leaving the league, and so they're actually currently sitting right at the top, I do believe. But of course, this is the opportunity for Revenge GG to leapfrog them yet again and claim a couple of points against Budapest 5. But of course, Budapest 5, despite sitting in the 6th position right now, they're no slouches. And we're probably going to have a good look at the rosters lineup for today as we're moving on. And what team we're going to see first? It's going to be Budapest 5. So Corvin, Nico, Kingslayer, Nufkey, and Centre Half are your players. Centre Half, especially a great. I mean, all of these players are great, but we've got yes, some pretty impressive ones among them. Kingslayer as well usually pops up from time to time, and yeah, this is a strong roster that we can expect to do pretty well. But obviously, they're going to be up against Revenge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Revenge have to offer for us today. So far, they have been doing quite well in the league. We've got Temp, Says, Vorch, Nerf, and Seiji all going to be playing for, I believe that's for Revenge GG, or is that showing Enclave? That's that's fine. We're just gonna roll with it. As yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Revenge GG, top of the leaderboard so far, and top of the league. I'm excited to see what they've got to show for us. I think they've got a lot of potential, and you know, especially looking at it, they're a fairly intimidating lineup. I've seen a couple of these players playing before. I believe Says in particular, I remember him from UK Premiership qualifiers a couple of times. A lot of these players are all well known within the UK community, so I would imagine they're going to have quite a showing for us today. I'm inclined to say that this could be a bit of an upset if Budapest are able to pull something back. We all know how a lot of teams are fairly confident on a map like Clubhouse going up to it for a first map. I'm excited about this, but Jerry, how about you? How are you feeling about it?
I'm pretty excited about this, and especially as you mentioned, Budapest 5 going up on Clubhouse. They have not lost. Oh wait, no, I'm making a mistake there. I think they haven't lost on Clubhouse. I'm looking at the wrong team. Revenge haven't lost on Clubhouse so far this season. So yeah, that's it's a tough one for them to crack. And we've got two teams that are clearly, I believe, well versed at this map, going up against each other straight away. But here we are. We are ready to jump into the match. Clubhouse, as you can see, going to be our first map of the day. So we're going to be moving on to the ban phase right now. And what are your thoughts for this ban phase, Fraser?
A lot of time you do see Hard Breach going out, whether it's a Thatcher or a Maverick. Instead, we're going to be seeing Habana being banned out by Revenge GG. It's going to complicate things a little bit for Budapest. However, second ban, is it going to be another utility ban or is it going to be a Hard Breach ban? Both very powerful. It's going to be Maverick off the board, so utility is safe for the attackers. Hard Breach ban, very valuable, especially on a map like Clubhouse. It complicates it, and it forces the attackers to spend more time, more utility, more effort opening up these kind of default walls or hatches. Defense ban, you know, Echo Mira would be the standard play here for a map like Clubhouse. Potentially even Valkyrie might be going out as another intel ban as the last one. Mira, there's a reason she gets banned out quite frequently. I don't think anyone's really surprised here. As Echo, last ban going out as well. And it's kind of a clean sweep there for Clubhouse. 3 out of the 4 of those bans are fairly common. Maverick, Mira, Echo. You see that quite frequently.
You absolutely do. The one that's standing out right there is the Hibana, meaning that you've effectively got a double Hard Breach ban right here. And that's going to be challenging. You can get away with just bringing a Thermite to the top floor sites a lot of the time, but this does speak to me that those bottom floor holds are going to be very, very tough to deal with when you only have 2 forms, or well, 2 pieces of hard destruction on your platter for the attack. And that is exactly where we're going to be heading first off. And interestingly, we are seeing this Kaid switch off to the Goyo, which is rather puzzling actually, because you could probably lock out the site very effectively with only the one hard breach at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you do see Kaid being used quite frequently. For most of the bomb sites, they can be quite powerful from the top floor, especially with gym bedroom, which is where it's most common. Secondly, being able to hold on to those hatches. And again, I think this plays in very well with the fact that Hibana has been banned out. A lot of teams do prefer to use Hibana for the hatches. You can open up 3 hatches compared to Thermite, who can only open up 2 hatches. You would generally pair that up, a Hibana ban, with a Kaid play quite frequently. So that's been 6 picked out in lieu of a Goyo. I'm excited to see what Temp has in store for us. We know that Goyo can be very powerful, not only wasting a lot of time and utility, but also simply being a visual deterrent to attack. So whether it's going to work out in favour of them, I'm excited to see what will happen.
As am I, and we've got a very turtley lineup on the side of Revenge GG right here. Plenty of utility to force the attackers to burn through, and that's going to be especially difficult considering now. Well, I mean, the attackers do have the right sort of tools for this job, and the Thatcher is going to be very important, possibly the most important on that lineup, because he's the only one that doesn't have that has the ability to clear out a lot of that, a lot of the sort of electronic gadgetry in some senses. But Nerf is already going down, as we're not quite sure where that happened, but that's an early pick as well onto Meds, and it looks like already we've got some pressure onto site. Nerf is in the corner of blue, and he looks like he's trying to crawl his way back to Temp to get res. Can't quite get through the rotate, and that's probably going to be a death sentence for him, as he's slowly ticking and out of time. And Nico's just watching as Virch can't get across to him, so it looks like this is so tense. Is he actually going to get res? Yes, he is. There we go. But in the meantime, Segenex is finding one inside a dirt tunnel, and that's Hufky gone.
Yeah, I mean, momentum definitely slowed down for the attackers as the defense can have a bit of a reprieve. So, Joel coming in by the attackers. It's not really going to do too much, and Virch able to hold on to that blue hallway. Kingslayer on top of the hatch might be able to land a nade onto Virch if he doesn't have any ADS to cover him. A lot of pressure still being established outside of Dart as well. Are they going to be able to push in through there? Seji's got a nice angle, but Kingslayer drops down, picks up the one into Virch, but Seji refrags. And again, just slow pressure being established by the attackers, and it doesn't really appear to be working out for them.
No, it really doesn't. But that being said, they do have an even man count going into the final minute of the game, and of course Nerf knocked down onto about 20 HP there. Means that it's going to be tough. Look how far away the diffuser is. That pick was such a range from behind the deployable shield. I'm not quite sure. That must have been Hufky trying to back up and get the angle onto the smoke, but clearly Smoke just a little bit better with that SMG hollow, and he's got plenty of time to burn. He's even got the Goyo shield. A lot of the attention is being focused in this direction, but the Volt comes through, and that baits him into the gunplay there. The second one for Segenex, and that's a quad kill on the round as Nerf cleans up shop with an exact trade onto center half on site, and Segenex is the real star of the show right there.
Yeah, I mean, just look at how integral that hold inside of Dart was. He wasted so much time and utility there. He even held the diffuser outside. That forced all of the attackers to go out and around pretty much. And that's just so unfortunate for Budapest. Well played by Seji, and again, this is why you bring a smoke in a situation like that. SMG-11, picture perfect inside of Dart. We're now going to be going up to Cash and CCTV as our next bomb site, and I'm kind of excited about this. Jerry, look at what attempts. Ah, come on, I was excited for that. I love Valkyrie, powerful operator. Instead, we're going to be bringing out that bandit with the elite skin, the beard. It's glorious. Well, it's got the one My Beam brought out as well, which is kind of an interesting change of pace. I'm excited for this. How do you feel about what My Beam brought in addition and in conjunction to a Jaeger?
Well, I think that it's been a very powerful operator, a very powerful operator pairing. I'm stumbling all over my words here, but for a long time, and especially on a Cash defense, we've become very accustomed to seeing my position on that catwalk holds, the AUG having pretty good damage over distance. So the ideal candidate to be spraying at that garage door and trying to keep attackers at bay, as well as having that pocket utility that just accumulates over time, perfect for a position where you need to be surviving for as long as possible, and it even stops those capital bolts. And with Patel on board, he's not been banned out on this match. You've got to be worried about potential for Budapest 5 to bring that to the table, but they're not going to be doing that, and instead it's just going to be holding off as many of those frag grenades and stuns from the lifeline, for instance, and flash as it can. So I am a big fan of them all. I'm also a big fan of the Valkyrie, which is a shame that we're not seeing her because, I mean, she's my main. I play her a lot. I've got a pin of her. I'm not wearing it right now, but I should be.
So another thing to mention actually there is that with the fact that Habana's planned out, it's going to be a lot harder to use Capital to force Temp off that wall. A lot of time you'd open up a portion of garage and fire a firebolt directly onto where Temp is. However, it's not going to matter as, again, look at that. Brilliant use of utility and teamwork allows that wall to be opened swiftly and effectively. They're now going to be joining in through garage. Got line of sight directly to garage stairs and getting the callouts that there is a player on top of there. It's going to be Mez. Pinged out. Are they going to be able to push him out here? That's going to be the question here.
It really is, and like I mentioned at the start, this catwalk position is so important and doubly important with that Habana ban. It gives you fewer points of entry. You can't be relying on a construction push to try and pinch site maybe, and you are pretty much guaranteeing that you're putting that final breaching charge onto the garage door beneath. So that's exactly what we see come out from Corbin right now, as now he's just a gun on the side of Budapest 5, and we've got about a minute and a half left, so half the round already elapsed, and both teams with 5 players left alive. I say that just as Husky finds the first, pushing up red. A very aggressive position for the Ash to take, and that's very important, but Med's finding one. Husky continuing his reign of terror upstairs, finding Sejinex, and that's a smoke, a massive pick for entry with a minute left. Nerf, though, going to be shutting one down, and Meds get a second, and suddenly this is looking like defenders could hold it out. Corbin going down as well, and looks like that's going to be it. All over. Meds and Temp coming up big at the very end, finding all the frags necessary. And ultimately, this catwalk control just being perfect for the hold.
Yeah, dominant performance by Meds, being able to hold on to that catwalk for as long as he did, despite all of the pressure he was getting, both from below and also through lounge. Again, he didn't buckle, he held that ground, and that was a brilliant performance. One thing I would like to highlight there, and you actually touched on it briefly with the Capita, one of the things that you see quite frequently would be that a lot of teams will use Habana to open up a portion of garage. You'd Capital Fireball up onto the breach, onto the bandit wall, thus allowing the thermite to go onto the wall uncontested by the bandit. Ultimately, they didn't need to do that, and you saw it with the usage of utility from the Zofia, the Thatcher, the thermite. Brilliant teamwork. A lot of times that single bandit can completely deny, you know, the wall being opened up. But the fact that Revenge were able to, or correction, the fact that Budapest 5 were able to open that out as succinctly as they did, brilliant performance by them, and really good work by their bandit, or by their attack.
Yeah, they were doing their best Lucendi impression there. We saw that the same last time around. This team's just getting so well versed at getting that server wall open, and it just goes to show how cemented the meta is right now for a cash hold. But again, they have the options to mix that up, especially with the Maverick ban and with the Habana ban. Like we said, it did kind of limit the points of entry for Budapest 5. Husky found that gap really well in that round. It was surprising not to see Budapest 5 come out on top overall after the initial picks from the Ash coming up red stairs, and you're going right deep into enemy territory there. As soon as you're at the top, you've got to worry about so many angles. Well, I mean, you've got to worry about 2 angles, but they're both very difficult to hold at the same time. So no surprise that he went down following it, but really, once you gain that advantage, unfortunate to see Budapest 5 not solidify it further.
So another slight mistake by Revenge. They didn't reinforce construction, and that was exploited by Husky with the Ash. I don't understand how you don't reinforce that. That's like Siege 101. If you're holding upstairs, you want to make sure that you're maintaining control of construction for as long as possible to delay them from attacking into cash directly. By leaving that unreinforced, it allowed them to just completely push in. And, you know, if they wanted to, which is a massive misstep by Revenge. Regardless, you know, 2 all in favor of them. It could be all to play for, but as of right now, I'm just not really convinced.
Yeah, 2-0 kind of flatters Revenge right now, but obviously that's what matters right now is that they have that point and all those 2 points. But Meds finding Kingslayer as we see Kufki getting to an engagement here with Verch inside of Cash, who comes out much better in that fight, and now Kufki has to back away. He's actually droning himself in right now. Not much teamwork going on that side of things, but meanwhile, Budapest 5 have managed to open up Jacuzzi wall, and the Corvins managed to push on inside of the gym in the meantime as well. Flash coming out there from Hufki though, and he doesn't actually take the opportunity to push onto the Jaeger. Biding his time right now, just creeping on around. Nico and Corvin finding pushes with their own successful ones. That Corvin with a second one as he claims the life of Temp inside of bathroom, and now the site's been completely emptied out.
Play left remaining. Corvin going for the plant now. Seiji, last player standing. Couple of pings coming out, but he's not able to land the shots. The centre half takes him down. And again, it's just smoke collapsing onto the bomb site. That is working out for Budapest. In that round, brilliant performance. But again, I'm a little bit concerned. It's minor slip-ups. Minor slip-ups made by Revenge GG that is ultimately costing them you know, these small individual gunfights. And I'm concerned because those small gunfights could amount to a massive deal. If Budapest are able to exploit that.
They really could, and it's basically just way too close to call at the moment. This could go all the way, and I know we're only 3 rounds in, but the rounds that Revenge have won haven't looked as convincing as they could have, and Budapest 5 have just shown us that when they do exploit those weaknesses, that they can storm in and be very convincing themselves. So, 1 round down right now. They closed the gap after that successful gym attack, and of course, that was a round on Revenge's probably least favoured site and least favoured site of most teams coming to Clubhouse, but they gave themselves that off the back of 2 wins on the defense, so they're going to be coming back down to the basement right now. And once again, we see them line up with exactly the same operator lineup on both sides. In fact, these 2 teams clearly set in their ways.
It's a bit of a shame we're not seeing Bar stop just yet, but you know, who knows, maybe in the near future. Revenge are going to be pulling that out as a little wee pocket strat. Be quite funny. Is Narf trying to be an artist, I assume? It's not really, I don't really know what he's trying to do there with that rotate. So it's a bit of an interesting rotate. It's more of like a line of sight, I'm assuming. Straight onto the B-bomb site so they can hit anybody dropping from a hatch. As stack up coming in through stop. This could be a rush coming in potentially, but I doubt it. They've wasted a fair amount of time. It looks like they are just, you know, it's the buddy system. Right, Jerry? It's the buddy system.
Yeah, the buddy system works perfectly in Siege. You know, some of the best intel you can get is when a teammate dies, you know exactly where their death marker is, and you know, you get the call out. Hopefully they don't rage too much. You get the call out where that defender is exactly, and it can be yeah, the buddy system works out quite well, because if you're playing for refrags, then you can go for that. But obviously, I think the point you're about to bring up is that you don't get death cams in the Pro HUD, so it can be difficult to exactly bring out those positions.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem with UK teams is a lot of players do like to rage, and, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the comms were blocked in a rush like that. Nice angle being held there by Temp. Or not even by Temp, it was by Meds even. As grenade going out takes him down. But Meds able to refrag. And again, just the pure individual performances by Meds has been superb.
It really has. Sejinex coming under the same kind of pressure that he did last time as Medj gets the double kill onto Kingslayer there. That's the sledge out of the question now, and he dropped a nice shot in chat. Shame we didn't get to see it from that perspective, but dropping, yeah, there you go. You see the death marker just coming down those blue stairs, falling right into the crosshair of Meds. And Sejinex, as I mentioned before, Meds so rudely interrupted me, is coming under that same kind of pressure inside a dirt tunnel that is going to be a big part of this church hold across the board, considering the Habana ban limiting those routes of entry. And Hufki is getting closer here, but Corvin's actually going to find Temp off green. And that's potentially... Oh, wow. Sejinex swinging around and finding that shotgun blast to the face of Hufki. Means that we're just left with 2 attackers remaining with 40 seconds left. Drone being taken out there of centre half. So probably knows the location of one of these defenders, but they have 2 more to find. And like I said, limited routes of entry means that Corvin and centre half are both pushing in through blue right now. That barbed wire will alert defenders to their presence, and now the rattling comes out of that or holding down this position as the smokes come out. Now the push has to come through. Centre half, though, finding Nerf in this push. Sejinek still alive. Might have spent all of his gas canisters by this point to push into Armory, but the spray through the wall almost working out. Sejinek finds one. Centre half with the trade, though, and now 5 seconds left, and the shotgun blast to the chest. Perfectly timed by Sejinek, doing excellent work as the smoke in that round to shut down the remaining members of Budapest 5.
Sejinek, more like Seji Goat at this point. Brilliant performance. And again, you just do not want to engage with this guy when he's got one of those SAS operators with one of those shotguns. That is just incredible. So far, I'm really liking the play by Revenge. I do have to admit this. I'm liking it. I like the Bandit Elite. It's quite awesome. Overall, it's very good beard. I wish I had a beard like that. Can you imagine?
Oh man,
Anyway.
that accent and that beard, oh man.
Oh,
Don't get me
great.
started.
Anyway, let's back on topic here. Back on topic besides the beards, because we'll save that for later on. Save that for post-match.
Yeah.
Overall, great execute coming out by Budapest. I like the change of pace, and I like how they are adapting to how Revenge are playing. They recognize, hey, we are getting absolutely decimated with a capital D whenever we try and push in through dot. Let's try something new, and they try and push in through blue. Didn't really work. It sort of works, just not really enough. Potentially we're going to be seeing another adaptation here. And again, I think that's one of the key things about Rainbow Six Siege is the adaptability and the dynamics of this game. There's so many variations you can try. Operators, different holds, different positions. Who doesn't love that with Siege?
It's a pretty endearing aspect of the game for certain, and it's one that I'm hoping more sort of emphasis over time. The main thing that stands out when you talk about variation is that it's really, in general, the defenders that get to bring that kind of variation to them for the most part, whereas a lot of the time with attackers, you kind of have to go for a catch-all approach. I'm going to come back to that point maybe shortly, as it looks like they're prepping for a construction rush here, maybe? It looks like Kingslay's preparing to just walk on in. Sejinek is alert to this, and he turns his attention towards construction for the moment, but it doesn't look like it is going to be that rush, actually, as most of the Budapest 5 are still doing their due diligence, making sure that server wall was being opened, and the stuns come through, forcing Temp off, and he backs away to the security of the deployable shield. But as I was mentioning, there's that kind of catch-all utility that you need on an attacking side, and I can't wait for the secondary hard breach gadget to become available that was teased at the SI in January, because that will really open things up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how that's going to change the flow of play. Potentially might mean that less pressure is going to be put onto the main hard breach operators.
They're getting a little bit too antsy there, trying to nail that grenade, and does actually find down onto Nerf. I did miss that, but takes a lot of damage for it in return. Nerf's going to be crawling into a slightly safer position as well, but he's out of reach of any of his teammates, and most of the focus here coming from construction, but Verge from underneath gets a double kill there. Corvin going down with the diffuser in hand, and the construction wall still fully reinforced, and your thermite gone, your only hard breach option with these bans on the table means that this is going to be a very tough attack now for the remaining 3 attackers.
Yeah, we know, like, we're going to have to see a collapse coming in from both sides, but Nico gets taken down, and as I say that, it's just not going to happen. Centre half now going to be holding on to B window. He will have to try and make a push here. If Kingslayer can get that kill onto the Bandit on top of Red Staircase, I'll put him in a better position moving forward. Botch is downed, not dead, but downed, as Kingslayer also very low health.
Yeah, he is centre half now, really the only one who can take the brunt of this attack, and with Sejinek still in position and potentially with a few gas canisters in hand, he just needs to wait for the clock to do his work, and there comes the first one. This is going to be very difficult now for the attackers to push through. Kingslayer basically can't go through that way, as he will die instantly. So all guns trained on these doorways and this window into cache. Medj laying prone in garage as well on that catwalk, making sure that that entry is not easy, as Sledge is actually going over the top now. It looks like he's heading for that breach, and he has in fact done just that. With only 15 seconds left, it's going going to have to be a frag fiesta for Budapest 5 to see anything out of this. They're just taking too much time. There we go. Centov finally coming, making the impact he needs to. But in the meantime, Sledge goes down. Centov gets the second. Can he get the third and fourth? They're just too far apart. It's not possible. Meds finds the head of the fan. And that's it. For Revenge GG, they managed to pick up yet another defensive round. And they're actually looking more and more convincing as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely started off fairly shaky, but one more round left on defense, and they could pull it back. We're going to go over to Gym and Bedroom as a last defensive half for Revenge. So far, they've been doing very well. I'm liking this. I do like the smoke. Seji's been doing incredibly well. Overall, brilliant performance by both teams. I'm a little bit concerned with the lack of refrags being carried out by Budapest. They're not really working together as much as I'd hope in terms of synergy, teamwork. You can just tell that a lot of these players are used to playing on their own and pushing it on their own, in my opinion. And it's kind of a bit of a worry there. You'd see a lot more teams setting up for refrags, and unfortunately for Budapest, they're just not really doing that. They may be in the same room as each other, but they're not even prepared to refrag each other in a lot of these situations, which is a massive shame, and it's probably the main reason why we're looking at a 4-1 deficit.
Yeah, so I just did a tiny little bit of research in a little bit of downtime there, and it looks as though Budapest 5 have played cut-off every single week since the start of the league. So plenty of intel there for Revenge to be working on. I mean, they've played it 3 times as well themselves, going in either of these teams' favour, but Budapest 5 had 1 draw against Enclave last week. So perhaps that's a sign that people are slowly getting accustomed to the way that Budapest 5 are playing these. Enclave have had they haven't had the cleanest run so far this season, but to be able to pick up a point, and then eventually they took the win against Budapest 5 on the game week, beating them in Cafe. So I think perhaps Budapest 5 need to start varying their map choice a little bit, widen the map pool a little bit, because clearly, well, Enclave at least are getting their number down, and it looks as though Revenge GG are standing up pretty well to the test of their attack, at least, on this map.
Yeah, Med's very low health already, presumably by the Sledge. Is not what you want to see already, like within the first minute of a round. That's kind of unfortunate for Meds. The jacuzzi wall's already been opened up, but Jaeger's already going to get challenged out and killed off by Hufky, and that's a massive loss, and it's just feeling like Budapest are coming back alive.
Yeah, Hufky finding that second one as well means it's all to play for here right now, is they could be looking at a 4-2 split right here. Centre half going to be droning in through construction, allowing Hufky to try and take that ground, but he does need to be wary of potential office presence, and that is exactly what Nerf is providing. He's got that rotate open, which means he can take the head off Kingslayer at will, who was just waiting at the top of those stairs. Corvin, though, pushed his way on into the gym hallway, and he's going to be opening up this wall, but after placing that exothermic charge, it looks like Temps successfully impact tricking it and removing that from the picture, but Med taking down Hufky, who was the only person pushing from construction side, means it's going to be a very one-dimensional push, and he takes the second one down as well, Corvin falling to the org of the Wamai. Now it's just a 2 versus 3, and a minute to work with at least for Budapest 5, but these attackers are split up, and they're going to need to do some work here. Centre half finds Meds, though. Now we're left in a 2 versus 2. Kicking, though, down goes Temp, and now it's all up to Nerf, who's holding firm inside of office. He does spot the Thatcher, but it doesn't land the shot. Full HP now, and Nico is sticking the plant inside a gym, but the Thatcher of Centre half doing perfectly in that situation. It did look like that was going to go the way of the defense for a minute there, but Budapest 5 sealing out for the 4-2 split.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum almost completely being lost there as soon as that Ash died, which kind of forced more of a one-dimensional push. As you mentioned, coming in through the jacuzzi, they weren't able to open up through bathroom, which would force players out and into the line of sight of anybody inside of construction. Very unfortunate. And again, this is just what we're talking about time and time again, where they seem to have the advantage, and then they just let it slip. Misstep by Revenge, not bringing out the Kayed, and not putting more utility into denying that jacuzzi wall being opened up. They played that fully expecting that wall to be opened up. It's a bit of a misplay. In my opinion, they were able to impact trick and stop the low being opened up through bathroom, but again, the damage had already been done. By opening up that jacuzzi wall, you deny the rotate back from the main stairs and through logistics, you have to then go in through the vault section. Regardless, we're now going to be swapping over sides. Round number 7, so Budapest are going to go to the downstairs bomb site for their first time. Husky picking up that smoke. Are we going to be seeing a repeat of that kind of smoke massacre inside the dot? It's a very powerful position. I'm excited for this one. Yeah, this should be quite a fun one. We've got a lot of utilities set up for that CCTV hole. For the attackers at least, they've got the thermite, sledge, utility, you know, is enough to get rid of anybody on that. And also, could be a change of pace for Revenge if they're not expecting this one.
It could well be, and one thing as well I want to highlight is that Revenge are opting to bring that Capital, which has been available this entire game, but we didn't see anything, any sign of it from Budapest 5 on their attacking half, and he's less useful potentially on a garage push, but he still can find his uses. Those firebolts definitely quite versatile, and centre half just sitting up here inside of servers, going undetected for the moment. It will be interesting to see whether he gets droned out or not, as he will definitely hear Verch, but it seems as though Verch is wise to his position, is perhaps trying to bait out the aggression from the Jaeger, holding this tight 90-degree angle to stop him from dropping effectively. But there's always the possibility that he could come down those red stairs as well, as Nerf is droning out the Jaeger. Now they have exact location knowledge on his position. But he's doing his job right here. He's burning up quite a lot of time. It's already a minute gone and he's survived. Under no direct pressure from the attack either, as Temp is beginning to sweep in from the other side and try and pinch centre half between himself and Vert.
Yeah, I mean, Roncluence definitely needs to be a lot more firm and secure. What they're doing is Verch picks up the kill into centre half with a spicy shot. But again, the time wasted by the Jaeger is more than acceptable for him to die. To be blunt, he's wasted so much time. Minute thought he'd left to go for this execute, and they still need to find 4 more players. They still need to go for the execute. I'm a little bit concerned here.
Yeah, and we heard the second exothermic charge go out there. I believe it was on that moto drop, and that means that the kitchen hatch is probably left intact. You don't want to be risking one exothermic charge there when it can be impact risk. That moto hatch clearly much more reliably dealt with, but unfortunately the Corvin's not trying to trick that one. I'm pretty certain we saw it go off, or we heard it go off at least. He's still got that one electric core in hand. He's going to be keeping that to try and protect Church Wall, but with no other hard breach, that's actually not really relevant at this point. 59 seconds left in the round. Still all the attackers remaining, but this right now looks like it's favoring the defense, as they're pretty well positioned on site. Still lots of utility, plenty of smoke canisters, for instance, to prevent Nerf from going for this push, and he's actually going to be spending them on Moto to stop that push, as the attackers really don't want to be walking down main or walking into Armory. But I say that Sejunex actually peeks into Armory. Looks like that is going to be the push. They pile on through as Temp gets downed by Corvin, and this flank could be big from the Kaid. Verch is now going to be watching it as the diffuser goes down, but Corvin finds 2 there for himself, and he's still alive. Husky with another, and now it's all down to Sejunex. He does actually manage to get the diffuser down. Corvin somehow, though, manages to down him. A fantastic triple kill on the round. Excellent job by the Kaid in that chaos. And like I said, the defenders are looking pretty astute when it came to that execute.
Yeah, I mean, they had a rough plan of how they wanted to go about it. It just didn't really go the way that they had planned. As one thing I would like to highlight there with the smoke, early usage of the gadget there, throwing them into motor, delaying them. I believe the first one went out about like minute 5 in. That's a bit of an interesting one. As a lot of the time you do want to try and keep those smoke gas toxic vape canisters for as long as you can, because they gain value. The less time there is remaining. So a bit of a surprise that it got kind of throughout so early on there. We're now going to be seeing a 6-pick over to the Legion. As Gem Bedroom is going to be our next one, choosing and electing not to go to cache CCTV. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's a misstep, or do you think that there's a reason for that?
I think this is what they call the curveball, really. Budapest 5 don't want to be too predictable right here, and perhaps they see that that Capital pick is going to make things a bit more awkward for them, shall we say, in a cash hold. There's definitely more positions that are easily exploitable by Capital, although he's definitely not without his uses on this particular take. Getting open that jacuzzi wall with a firebolt to through the drone hole, especially when you don't have a Wamai in this lineup to try and catch those, is a pretty surefire way of getting at least the kind of southmost wall open up, because you can't trick it really when there's a firebolt in there. So, I mean, with Cap, that's why you so often see him banned, right, on this map, and it was surprising to see him come through the ban phase at all. But again, it does limit the number of hard breaches, so there's always a sort of a net gain somewhere else in when it comes to these bans. And we're going to be seeing actually a fair amount of focus from Revenge in trying to take from this cash side, as well as a fair amount of focus from Budapest in trying to deny that.
Yeah, I mean, very powerful being able to take and hold on to cash, or CCTV for that matter, as it allows you a foothold into the building, which is also powerful. Banditry King might be able to waste some utility, and if he's able to even waste a single exothermic charge on this wall, Huffkey has done his job perfectly. Gotta go for the wall now. It's gonna be Zofia Lifeline from below, but they are gonna be able to get the charge. Huffkey very low health, but he's done his job. He can pull back. Rest assured that he's done his job. What more could you want from a bandit other than wasting an exothermic charge?
Yeah, that's absolutely, and that is half of your breaching potential, or hard breaching potential rather, gone. But Sejunex now knows that this right-hand side wall should be good to clear. Nerf getting into position to try and remove the bandit that he imagines is in place still, but Huffkey's being a bit more cautious than that with only a little bit of HP remaining, and that's a free breach, but one firebolt wasted essentially for Revenge. Looks like it's all clear for the defenders. They fall back. In fact, no one inside of Cash. Kingslayer now playing at the top of red, and Huffkey just taking up position outside of Cash, inside in construction, holding that doorway. And with 1 minute 16 left on the board and only no more hard breach utility left, it's going to be very tough for the attackers to attack. But a down comes out and a confirm there from Kingslayer, but immediately re-punished there by Meds as they get that 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, I mean, less than a minute left on the clock here, and that's just going to be a complete collapse, likely going to be coming in through construction, and that will be an absolute massacre. I'm calling this right now. This could be an absolute massacre. Look at that line of sight being held by centre half. He misses his shots, but the damage has already been dealt. He's wasted a little bit of time. That's all you need right now. You see the collapse starting to come in through there. Corvin close by with the shotgun. And he gets one, but he can't get a second. He downs Meds. Isn't able to refrag, however.
That was some pretty important stuff there. The centre half, though, finding one onto Temp, and he's holding very close on this bomb chassis as Meds is getting into contention with the player at the top of the stairs, and the timer is ticking, but they find the Jaeger, somehow Virch spraying to the head, and now it's all down to Nico and Huffkey, who are on low HP, but that spray through the foot level hole, perfectly done by the Goyo. Virch finds the Revenge, but he's running through his own team's fire. No! Was that his own team's fire? No, it was, of course, the Goyo. Detonated by Meds, and that's going to be it. The Zofia. Oh, not like
Meds,
this.
what are you doing? Well, I guess you could say you went down with a blaze of glory. Yeah, I'll show myself out of that one.
That's
4-4, round number 9. Sir, that was a shame. That was a shame. They almost looked as if they could pull that off. That's the worst bit. They could have pulled that off, but instead, Meds. If only he didn't pop that shield.
Yeah, it was one of those decisions that you can't really blame him making. How can you possibly know that that is the rotate that the Zofia really needs to make in the dying seconds ahead of time? But Nico doing an excellent job there. He made the really high impact kill in that hole, going prone in gym to stop the diffuser going down by that bomb, and we did get to see that, so pretty nice stuff there. Good shout out to the Observer, who's actually popped in last minute, so big creds to him. Thank you very much to Red Light for coming in at very short notice and doing such a stellar job right here. And yeah, so 4-4 the scoreline now, and Budapest 5 I don't know really, that did look like they pretty much sealed it out. They played that early round so perfect, despite a little bit of a rally late on from Revenge, but Yeah, big props to Husky especially for getting rid of that exothermic charge, and it gave them that security, knowing that they could rotate potential, into the jacuzzi hallway late game, and that really did seal the deal for Budapest 5 at the end.
Smed's currently sitting on 13 kills, 14 if we include his teammate, but for now we'll just say 13. Top fragging right now. And again, I think you really need to have players that can do that. Frag out consistently round after round, regardless of the operators that are bringing out. It's really good to see Meds is fulfilling that role. However, I do need to point out that more of the kills are consistent on the side of Budapest as Varch picks up one there onto center half. An attempt was made by center half, it just didn't really work out.
An attempt was made, famous last words, I suppose, there. And Husky's going to be playing this a little bit more passively now, as he knows that Virtue's tactic is to come in underneath as many Zephyrs will. But he guesses wrong on the wall, and Corvin pulling down that deployable shield as it's no longer useful in that position. That's a useful shield to deny the stun through the drone hole, but as soon as you get the push coming through the breach, you want it a little bit further back so that you can play with a bit more protection in the normal anchor spot and not let the attackers take advantage of that cover themselves once they push into server. So good little reposition of utility. Nice headshot there from Kingslayer as he finds Sejinex and doesn't get out of the way in time. In fact, he does, but Virch meets it with a double kill now as Nico goes down. Now we're 1 minute 23 remaining and left. This is a very swift take here from Revenge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed with the coordination being established and the dominance being dealt with through Garage. That's going to slow them down. Meds, again, why did you pop that? Varch able to get the count to Corvin, but again, he's just wasting his own time, and that allows Varch to get the final kill. That's going to be an ace. Oh, brilliant work by Varch.
There you go. We can see exactly what he can do when he isn't being team killed by Goyo Shield. The only member of the team not to fall victim to Med detonating a Goyo Shield that round, which completely delayed the push in through Garage, but it doesn't matter when you've got someone pulling off an ace elsewhere. So
I look at that and I think, okay, that was Meds trying to pay back Virch to say sorry for what he did there, stopping the rest of the team getting that final kill, going, yeah, okay, I screwed up last round. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna detonate this Goyo Shield. We're not gonna be able to get to the bomb site. You go get your ace. Brilliant work by Virch. And again, I think this is what I really want to highlight. For a team like Revenge GG, they've got these standout players that are consistently getting these kills. Look at that. Virch 10 kills, Meds 13 kills, Seiji 9 kills. But on the other hand, look over at Budapest, and they're a lot more evened up, and they're a lot more balanced in terms of the kills. And I think that goes to show the overall team mentality between both of them. Budapest are working together a little bit. Revenge GG, yeah, they're more just like a run in there, get all the kills. If you die, just give us a call out, you'll send in another person to get a kill. And it works out for both teams. Revenge GG so far doing very well. I'm very impressed with their performance. Neds, I still haven't forgiven him for that Goyo Shield. But overall, the performance by Revenge has been absolutely superb.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Yeah, I think I want to point out a little bit right here as well. We're seeing the same sort of pattern right now. 2 defensive wins followed by a defensive loss, repeated in the first half by Budapest 5 on their lesser side of Gym. And it maybe is just the fact that Budapest 5 maybe are more comfortable on Gym than on Cash. Perhaps we'll see this same pattern recur as they won Church, won Gym, and then lost Cash. So once again, 2 to the defense, 1 to the attack. And if patterns are going to continue consistently, then we'll probably be seeing overtime in this game. But right now, it's up to Budapest 5 to try and put together at least 2 of their defensive rounds to see this one out. And right now, we've got Church defense taking place. Almost a minute already elapsed. Very turtley style of defense, as we've come to expect from Budapest 5 on their holds here. And I don't really know what to make of this other than you've got to wonder where Sejinex is going to be devoting these exothermic charges, really. We've seen one already on the tunnel, and this next one probably on Moto Hatch, but again, we don't want to see them suffer from these limited lanes of attack.
Yeah, I mean, so far, Revenge do like to open up that motor hatch. So far, they haven't really put a lot of emphasis on that kitchen. If anything, they've just pretty much just left it entirely. We're seeing a lot of the attackers now going to be dedicated inside a bar, which would imply that we're going to be seeing a church take. As Med's going to be on that hallway, denying anybody rotating across. It's a nice little ping out by Virch, helping out his teammate, giving him a little bit of information as to where he should be looking. Missing his shots, unfortunate for him, but again, more hatch been opened up, and a lot of time has been wasted, but so far nobody has died yet. Which means, well, you know, like 1 minute 5, 1 minute 10 left on the clock. There's a lot of people left to die, as Med's going to be picking up the first one into Nico. Could be the advantage for them.
Absolutely is, and we see a lot of focus coming around here through main stairs, as Sejanex is actually not carrying any more exothermic charges, I believe. So, did he use one on that?
They used it on the hatch. I don't know if they opened up the door.
Okay, so Husky, they're finding Nerf early on, and now it's a 3 versus 5. Sejanex going down, though, as Center Half and Kingslayer pick up 1 apiece, and now all down to Virch and Meds, as this attack's been completely shut down. All of them trying to pile in through that rotate, and with the Diffuser now dropped inside of the Deep of Armory, means that they're just going to be walking into a 3-way crossfire here if they try and go for it. Really, they've got no other choice, because that smoke canister is blocking off their only other point of entry, and this is just absolutely gonna massacre. You mentioned last round. There we have it. Center Half finds one, and he even doesn't find the second, but yep, that's it. In fact, he does find my no, 5 seconds. Sorry, there, my cool feed sort of my clean feed bugged out quite a bit at the end, but yep, a very solid defense on the basement by 5.
Yeah. I mean, last minute push didn't really work out in favor of Revenge. They had everything to play for. They had the time to work with to try and isolate out these defenders, but instead they decided to just sit up by the bar, have a swig of some, I don't know, Capri Sun, and you know, kind of waste away the round, so to speak. It's rather unfortunate. So we're now going to be seeing a 6-pick from a Wamai to a Legion, and yeah, brilliant. Okay, I know I keep saying this. I know I keep saying it. Please bear with me, Jerry.
Protect your bombs from
The
being
crossfire
defused by
established by the defenders on that basement, super, is brilliant. You saw it with the crossfire set over in lockers in the spot whole spot, all the way over to all the way over to, you know, the gun lockers, and also from church itself, and that forced the attackers into a position where they can't plant because they're surrounded by so many other people, but they can't push through the motor because it's actively getting smoked off. And Budapest were able to corral Revenge into a position where they could easily take them down and die, which was the whole. A brilliant move by them.
5 seconds remaining.
Yep, so just going to correct myself a little bit. Obviously, these games don't go to overtime. We do see draws. So right now, it's the onus is on either team really to try and string together 2 rounds in a row to get those valuable 3 points. And right now, Revenge GG is going to be especially valuable to them because they are pushing for that top spot, which, just in case you were wondering about the format of this season, you do get more of an advantage if you go for those top spots in the final playoffs, the top 6 can qualify for them. But it looks like Revenge have found a little bit of a gap in the armor. It says they just decided to rush on in up these main stairs. Nerf taking out the main anchor in the bathroom. Virch finds 1, finds 2 in office, and Center Half might be the next one to go down if he can keep his aim steady. He's going to be peeking around. Husky at least claims the life of 1, and there we have it. Virch with a triple on the round. Now Husky, the last one alive, he shuts down 1. That's at least something to be working with, as the diffuser is going to be set down, but he can't sort out Meds, who is holding inside a bathroom, and the rush strap from Revenge GG puts them onto match point, and they have sealed at least 1 from this map.
Yeah, I mean, Revenge is kind of taking a wee wander into the map, thinking, hey, you know what? Normally we could try and take in through, cache, CCTV, go through all of that utility, or I've got a better idea, bear with me here. Let's just rush up the main staircase, past logistics, past bedroom doorway. Let's go over, let's take a wander over towards gym. Oh, hey look, there's the Goyo here, let's kill him, go into the bomb site, get the plant down, bam. 6-5, match point. So far, I think that worked out pretty nicely for Revenge GG. We're going to be seeing a 6-pick over from the castle to the smoke. And again, we've seen how influential smoke can be as an operator. And I've got a question for you. Jerry? Am I allowed to call you Jerry? Can I call you Jerry?
Yes, you can call me Jerry, and you can ask me a question.
Awesome. So, a lot of the time you don't really see smoke getting played as much in certain maps anymore, because it has fallen out of favour in lieu of operators like Maestro and Echo. I personally, I love smoke. I still think he's very powerful. How do you feel about smoke on a map like Clubhouse? Because we do see him getting brought out quite frequently for that.
Well, I think he's an incredibly versatile operator, and that's the main thing that sets him apart from the likes of, well, I'd say probably the closest comparison would be Goyo, really, if you're looking at what they bring to the table. Maestro, similar in a sense, allowing that kind of area denial, but obviously part of his kit provides more of a intel-based play set or play style. Really, when you're looking at Smoke, you're looking at that area denial, and you're looking at his effectiveness towards the end of a round, which obviously it is something that Maestro and Echo can bring too. But it's that versatility. You can keep hold of those smoke canisters for as long as you want, as opposed to a Goyo shield or a Evilite, where you need to be presetting them. You need to kind of be predicting the way an attacker will push. And I think with adaptability as the name of the game quite often, there's nothing that can beat it. And obviously you've got to be looking at the SMG11 and shotgun combo that's just so potent that we now see quite often even double SAS operators being brought to the table.
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly nothing more terrifying than a player that is trained with that SMG11, because it's got one of the highest time to kill weapons in-game. Is Seiji now going to be opening up Jacuzzi Wall as Hufkey should be able to bandage rig this? Yep, there it goes, and this is what we're talking about. Small usages of utility is going to save you immeasurably. As Hufkey's now going to be able to reinforce that wall, and it's going to deny them, because ultimately, yes, they can open this wall up, but they're not going to be able to open up through bathroom. It's going to limit their options.
Yeah, it was slightly negligent work there from Revenge in terms of spending the utility properly to try and prevent that. Didn't open up the gym window to try and provide that crossfire, and it hasn't been castle barricaded, so that would have been easy enough to do with enough cover from the server peak, potentially. But as this is happening, we've got Nerf once again in this very advanced position, but the C4 from Corvin's going to deny that straight up. Great play by the Mute, just rotating around into the site, and now we get the push coming through from Sejinex as Temp pushes on ahead of him. Meds at the top of the stairs as well. Now it's all up to these SES operators to shut them down. Corvin picks up his second of the round with the SMG11, and a minute left to go with only 3 attackers remaining, all stationed around Jim, and centre half holding such an important position, looking across this line of sight. It's going to be all up to Meds and Seji to find one, but once again, Corvin strikes. It's a triple on the round. He's on course for the ace, ladies and gentlemen, as we have Seji and Virch with it all to do. They've got to try and find something to push this on to the win. If not, Budapest 5 look like they're going to be sealing it out with the draw and pushing us on to the next map convincingly, but all down to Seji and Virch. They're bunched up at the top. Kingslayer going for the big flank here. It could be very deadly. Quad kill for Corvin. Kingslayer finishes it off after Sejinex gets a pretty much impactless kill. And that's going to be good. Half coming out in chat. Budapest 5 sealing the draw for the first map of today. That was an impressive game from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, definitely explosive there. And look at that. Look at the kill spread. 3 players on both teams getting double-digit kills. And wow, again, brilliant performance overall. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And Jerry, what a way to start off this matchup. Like, honestly, obviously going 6-6. Both of these teams are probably going to be feeling a little bit frustrated by that. Obviously, they want to win.
Yeah,
but I mean, it was brilliant performance, wasn't it?
It really was a brilliant performance. A lot of teams, they look at the draw and see it as a loss for both sides, which hopefully they don't feel that way. But I guess it's just a mental thing. It's unfortunate for both sides. Obviously, especially for Revenge, who are trying to push onto that top spot. They definitely want to get the win off this next game, so that they can be challenging Vexed right at the top. But we're going to be finding out if they can do just that. For the time being, Budapest 5 are holding them at bay, and we're going to be thrown to a short break for us and for the players. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with the next map. Don't go away.
Welcome back to ACS. My name is Reza, and as always, I am joined by Jerry. Jerry, welcome in, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling ready to go for this next match, especially after our long and in-depth talk about beards. It was quite a fun one. We won't be releasing that to the general public, sadly, but we're just waiting on these two teams who have been duking it out on Clubhouse. They could not be separated there. 6-6 the final score, but right now we're going to be heading into Cafe for
So, I
the
mean-
final match of our Playday.
So I'm kind of
Budapest
looking
5.
forward to this one. Cafe's going to be quite an interesting one. We haven't, at least I haven't seen it for a couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to finally casting that one out again. I'm excited for the Operator bans. We're going to be going for Budapest 5 first, and it's going to be a Thatcher ban. Following the theme of Hard Breach being banned out, could be quite an interesting one. Not too much to surprise you do see that banned out quite frequently. I'd be expecting more of a utility ban to be coming out here as the second attacker ban. We know how powerful that could be, and yeah, kind of a surprise there if I'm honest.
Yeah, seeing both Thatcher and Thermite come off the board is quite a rarity, and you usually see maybe the Capital or perhaps a Maverick who can kind of double up as a utility in some senses. But yeah, Thermite, a big player on Cafe being removed from the board is definitely going to make things tougher for the attackers. We expect fairly standard defense bans. There we go, Mirror and Echo once again. These two teams favored choice. Although interestingly, it was Maestro that was banned out last time around by Budapest 5. The last time they played Cafe, which was last week, I believe, and that was that was an opportunity for them to bring out some Echo plays that did actually work out quite well. So I'm a little bit surprised at that one personally.
So a couple of operators that slipped through there. One of mention would be Valkyrie. We do see IQ being brought out. Likely to counter any Valkyrie plays, or likely any Valkyrie 6-picks that may be brought out. In addition to that, we also could potentially see operators like Nomad, Gridlock being brought out, specifically to counter the roam play, which, to be blunt, we haven't really seen being used by Budapest. We saw it in the last game, at least, that they played very, very total on site. They played very close to site on Clubhouse. So whether we're going to see an extended roam presence, I'm inclined to say probably not. Looking at the operators being brought out, the only ones we're likely to see being used in a roaming capacity would likely just be centre half on that Jaeger. Other than that, I imagine we're going to be playing fairly close. In all likelihood, we're going to be seeing a heavy presence and a heavy emphasis on holding onto that piano. As Shotgun's being used effectively by the smoke and the mute, likely to, open up the site, open up the bar. All of those doorways, tables, they need to be opened up because otherwise it can be very easy for the attackers to go in for a plant behind them, especially from that new balcony. You do see a heavy emphasis being established on there by the attackers late game. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like we've really... Yeah, look at that there. Look at the bar in particular there, Jerry. How it's been opened up. Not a massive surprise there.
No, it really isn't, and I actually can't wait to see Oryx come out of quarantine for the well, not quarantine. He's in that what do they call it? A grace period. While
grace period, evaluation period. It's a quarantine. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's what it is. So we've seen plenty of clips of Oryxes being able to just clear open that entire bar with a single charge, and that's honestly quite useful utility. You save yourself a lot of shotgun blasts and time in setup phase. He may well find his way in, and there are some hatches that are worth jumping up in this particular map. So I'm going to call it maybe ahead of time that Oryx could see a bit of play. But that being said, on this defensive lineup, you've got a lot of fairly irreplaceable players. The Doc being the one standout potentially that could be subbed in or out, but he plays an important role in carrying that ACOG and playing right at the back in Maestro spot. But for the time being, we're watching Kingslayer try and slay some enemies on these rappels, and he's coming close to finding them, but nothing lethal right at the moment, as he's now a bit pinned back in this position once all of these windows have been opened. But the run out coming there, the jump out of Dining from Kingslayer. He rotated all the way down there to find that one, and that's taking meds off the board. Those frag grenades and soft destruction, quite valuable, much more valuable than the life of a castle as well. So a great trade there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how influential meds was in the previous game, so a top fragger like that off the board in lieu of a castle, that's a pretty good trade right there. He's got about a minute 15 left on the clock as Hibana Xcaris going down. As rapid control could be established now by Temp as he drops down. Nico getting a kill into Vorch. That could be a very impactful kill there. Hibana off the board. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I believe that was from the mentioned position all the way at the back of Maestro spot. You can see right there, he's got a couple of holes opened up to play that ACOG perfectly from that position. And now, with just 3 attackers remaining, at least you have the Capitao in hand, who's got all of that execute utility to try and throw down and begin the plant. But a great peek there from Nico as he picks second on the round, almost making it a third as Sejinex gets the plant down. And it manages successfully as the plant does go down in 2 versus 4. Center half finding himself dead at the hands of Sejinex, the plant getting up and picking him off, but now the retake has to come through. Nerf has actually fallen back outside of the building. He looks going for the skylight as Seji is taken out, and the Nerf has to get into position very quickly. They do know that to play this position, the defuse is being stuck by his fans there. Husky protecting perfectly with SMG-11 allows the diffuser to be taken out, and a very close one there for Budapest 5, allowing the plant to go down in that 4 versus 2, but at least playing the retake perfectly in the post plant.
What a shot there by Hufky. What a shot with the SMG-11. We've spoken about it before today, just how powerful it can be. Oh, wow, that's brilliant. Good retake strat by Budapest, being able to retake that, take down the Maverick, recognizing, hey, the players rotated, they're likely on the skylight, and they're able to respond accordingly. Brilliant performance by them. Bit of a letdown by Revenge. It seemed like they didn't really know what they wanted to do once they got into the building. They just kind of run and gun, and it sort of worked, but then it didn't. And yeah.
Yeah, I think they did actually suffer fairly heavily from the loss of that sledge early on, to be fair. They didn't really have as much of a way into sight as they'd like. They knew that they really just needed to commit to the push through underneath New Hatch and from Cigar Shop, really. Quite often you'll see the sledge or the thermite, depending on the status of that wall separating Piano and the site, being utilized to try and open up that wall and go for a plant there. And at least if you open it up, you give yourself a little bit of some more options to plant. But I mean, this is going to be the case. I mean, we saw this sort of starvation of hard destruction in the last game with both Maverick and Varna gone, and this time around it's the thermite that's suffering here, or well, it's the teams that will suffer from the loss of thermite, as I'm not convinced that the capabilities of really just a Hibana and a Maverick to provide the push needed a lot of the time on that site. Either way, I think we'll get to see how that plays out as the rounds go on, and perhaps they will be enough. I mean, the Maverick can work out in some instances, but just take more time. As I'm wittering on, but we see Kingslayer go for yet another early run out. This time is a Legion, so a slightly more high-value operator traded out there. But for the buck, again, another soft destructor removed from the board early on.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of uncontrolled aggression being utilized by Budapest, taking down some of these players before they even have the opportunity to get upstairs. Jaeger spotted the drone, but in retaliation, what are you doing, Hibana? How do you miss that? Varch, the guy that got an ace in the last map, can't even hit a guy in his back. What are you doing?
10.5 is going to be, like, thanking his lucky stars right there. That was outrageous, really, and Birch is really going to be kicking himself for that. I mean, that's your only hard breach, well, besides the Maverick, who's sort of a semi-hard breach, I suppose. He can do some of the job, but it's going to be much tougher now to provide those walkable holes and lines of sight for the attack, and Med taking a big chunk of damage for a C4 that's almost perfectly placed. Left on about 30 HP now as he's cooking this frag, and it gets caught by the ADS. To shoot that out now to try and give him a second attempt, but this vertical play is going to have to be a big part of what Revenge need to make their way back into this round. All of those defenders are holed up on site right now, and it's just a matter of time, really. They just need to burn this time, and that's exactly what Nico and Corvin and co, with that perfect utility to do so, are going to be trying to do right here. The center half sitting just behind this cover in Bakery, manages to rotate back into small Bakery, but his position is known. He's absolutely pinned right here. Husky going down to Meds as well, and it looks like the attackers might actually have something going here. And that Capital Fireball perfectly pushing him out of position. And now it's 2 versus 3 with the final 40 seconds left to go. And they take a little bit of a bit to try and get this wall up.
Yeah, I mean, momentum slowly starts to come back. The Revengers, they figured out what they want to do. Gonna be trying to open up through that western wall, seeing if they can try and push on into the A bomb side. Smoke gas canisters going down, but that's also gonna be the smoke going down. It's all gonna be up to Nico. If he can get a couple of influential picks here, it could put him in a better position. 15 seconds remaining, and he's been pushed out of the bomb site. Spawn out 2 players, but he takes the diffuser. 10 seconds remaining. He's gonna have to try and stick with this. He knows the rotate's going to be coming in through double door, but it's just not going to work out. Revenge are going to be picking up round number 2 in a much more convincing fashion.
It was absolutely a much more convincing round from Revenge there. Evening the scoreline 1-1 now, and they weren't phased by that early run out. I think definitely part of that adjustment, bringing the buck alongside the sledge, was part of the fact that they didn't want to be relying on the sole soft destructor on this map, and they definitely I want to give props to Revenge for making that adjustment so early on in the map, because especially against the playstyle of Kingslayer, who we have seen actually go for these runouts and these peaks in previous matches on Cafe. He's been taking out the dock in past matches going for these peaks, but it seems that today the call of order is that he's just going to be jumping out of every window possible and trading his life off early on. So bringing plenty of different variations to those sort of required tools on the attack is definitely the way to be going right here. And we're going to be seeing yet again another defense on the bottom floor. And I can't recall if we saw a Kaid last time round, but we didn't really see it factor into much. Obviously, with the Maverick on the board, you can kind of bypass that utility a lot of the time. So maybe this will make a little bit of difference. I can't remember if he's being run, honestly.
One thing I would like to see by Revenge would be adaptation to what they've been seeing. Budapest, we're round 3 in. In the last 2 rounds, somebody has jumped out of a window and gotten a kill. How do you counter that, Jerry? How do you counter somebody jumping out of a window? What operator do you bring?
Yeah,
it begins with N and ends in OMAD.
I thought you were going to say it begins with N and ends in Obody, but yeah, Nomad is definitely a good answer to it. But it can be difficult to just to bring a single operator to make that difference. Nomad is definitely probably your best option, but like I said, you can just be bringing multiple pieces of utility to the board. The problem with Nomad, obviously, is that if you do have a sort of set strategy in mind and she's not part of it, then you may find yourself a little bit short-staffed in other departments, and you don't want to be doing that really if you're sort of well-practiced in a particular take and you're not reliant on that Nomad. Obviously, Cafe is a great site, a great map for Nomad, especially you can take it to pretty much every site and expect to see some value from it, considering a lot of the flanks are fairly easy to lock off with a single air jab. I'm thinking particularly about red stairs when you come and pushing on the top floor. Right now, the top floor is being taken by the attack, and this is a bit of self-destruction that we rarely see coming out, and center half is going to be finding the opening pick onto this hard breacher of Virch, and that's a big pick onto the Hibana, and he's been allowed to rotate back downstairs completely unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, Hardbreach going off the board so early on here without even being able to use any of their gadget is a massive loss. That'll be a major detriment to Revenge. We do hear the Skeleton Key going off, I believe, inside of Dining. It's going to be doing a little bit of damage as well. You see a heavy presence on that top floor, or on that middle floor even. Verticality is key for a map like this, and being able to exert control from above an objective is going to set Revenge in a better position if they're able to try and start pushing onto the bomb site. They need more momentum to try and start making this execute happen, and so far we're just not really seeing that working out too well for them just yet.
Well, this is the first round that Kingslayer hasn't decided to jump out of a window, and it's actually worked out even more in favor of the defense right here. But Meds, as I say that, is going to be putting down Kingslayer. Hufkey off screen as well, finding Temp, and that's a nice little trade there in favor of the defense as they narrow down the number of operators they have to be focused on. And the first smoke coming out from Corbin, who I did mistake the location of that just a second. I saw the SMG and thought that he was just flanking on mining, but that was of course. And Smoke locking off the delivery push or prep push rather, for the remainder of this round, most likely. Now he's stationed back here with the Jaeger in Red Bull. 17 seconds left, and the attackers really haven't given themselves much of an option here but to funnel in through prep, and Hufkey finds one on that push. The second one going to be coming into his range just as we speak, but Sejinex at least trying to get the plant down, as he so often does. Center half, though, finding that, and now Sejinex is just accepting his fate, taking the headshot, and that was just, yeah, that wasn't the most exciting round, really, but Budapest 5 just looking ever more convincing now on these defenses.
Gotta give respect to Seji there, recognizing, hey, alright, all my teammates are dead. But on the bright side, almost got the plant down. So, you know, you gotta respect that. You know, respect your planters. They are some of the most influential players. And, yeah, unfortunately, got his head taken off for his trouble. Didn't really work out. And we're gonna be going up to Bar and Cocktail. It's our next bomb side. And we saw what they were capable of doing. We saw what Nico was capable of doing with that dock. And it looks like we were going for round number 2. Do you feel like this could play a little bit differently here, as we're going to be seeing a 6-pick from the Kayak to the castle again? How do you feel about that, Jerry?
I'm trying to recall if we saw the castle on the top floor last time round. I think we did.
I believe we did.
Yeah, because he jumped out of the window, didn't he? So
He yeeted himself out the window, yeah.
Yep, he did yeet, and I think I'm not surprised really. There's a lot of ways that the attackers can counter any Kaid or breach denial that you're going to be bringing with these particular bans. You've got the oh, excuse me, you do have the Thatcher gone, so it might be a bit more challenging, but I suppose the Maverick being still on the board does allow you to bypass that, like I said earlier on, quite handily a lot of the time, as long as you're confident in your hold, in your flank hold, and making sure that no defender inside a bathroom can do a sudden swing round. Then you've got plenty of ways to just allow your Maverick to open up that freezer wall, which is usually the wall that he will be tasked with opening up if you've got this kind of pairing of the Hibana and the Maverick. But we see this soft wall between Piano and Bar being opened up at head level height, and that does provide the player, that provides a lot of options really. It provides the player back in Maestro spot, that long angle, and we did see Nico take advantage of that in the last round, so I'll be excited to see whether he can land yet another few kills from that position. But right now, this pressure coming in from the east balcony, and Verch look to push in and in fact repel onto Heaven, which is a bit of an unusual task to be bringing.
You know, I've just realized it's totally ironic. In round number 1, the castle jumped out the window to kill the Sledge, who's the hard counter to the castle. Which,
You're right.
you know what I mean? Like, you always bring the Sledge to counter the castle, alright? And in this case, you yeet the castle out the window to counter the Sledge, to stop him from countering you. But regardless, Nico will get a kill onto meds, and it doesn't even matter, because the Sledge is already gone. Brilliant! What a round already. Wow, round number 4 has already gone. I'm excited by that. Sorry, Jerry.
You really are, but I mean, that could be it, to be fair. There's not many options in terms of removing those castle barricades behind, besides just, you know, going at them with the melee for a long time, or the frags from Sejinex, but I suppose he's going to be tasked with that mainly. This opening from beneath, though, that we're seeing Temp doing, definitely a nice adjustment, and it's a shame that he can't land any of these shots, because he has this player up on the counter, absolutely dead to rights, but somehow surviving. There we go, finally, Nico falling to the headshot from Temp. He must have emptied about 3 magazines worth of bullets into that ceiling, and Nerf going to be finding a second onto Hufkey, and that's Smoke gone, a massive pick coming into the final minute, but Kingslayer at least responding onto Nerf. Again, a huge pick against the Capital.
You can kind of see how cautious and how scared Seji is really of that jump out, but Corvin able to get the kill onto Temp. And again, it's just slowly starting to fall apart for Revenge. They lose the momentum that they gain from the kills, and then they just don't really know what they want to do. His flashbang's going up wide. It's going to be Hibana making the push. Is much really contested? Yep, pretty contested. It's going to be a grenade going in as well, and he's going to land the shots. It's all up to Seji right now. 2v1 situation, 25 seconds remaining. Is he going to be able to make this work? He's going to jump in, he's going to pre-fire. But, yeah, no. It just ain't happening.
Oh, the ragdolls in this game, they get me sometimes. That was beautiful. We don't get to see it in that kill cam, but nicely placed C4 from Corvin to seal the round out. And Sejinex really left with absolutely no option but to fly in through that window at that point in time. And yeah, it was an unorthodox take, it has to be said, from the attacking side of Revenge right there. We saw them focus almost exclusively on Cocktail from beneath and from the rappels, and it just meant that come the late round, it enabled the castle of Kingslayer to just rotate into Piano and have that crossfire with the Jaeger onto White Stairs, completely cutting off your only real point of entry for a Cocktail push besides swinging in through the windows. And everyone knows you don't want to be doing that if you can avoid it. So yeah, that's why we don't see that sort of push come out very often.
I mean, it kind of got to the stage where I believe Budapest just kind of realized, hey, there's absolutely no pressure coming in from the western side of the map. We can essentially sit directly underneath, on bar, next to Skylight with zero concern. And you show that with the way that the Butte played, specifically with the C4. You would not stand there if you thought that you were going to get pressured from the Skylight, because they will have you dead to rights. But ultimately, it worked out for them. And again, this is just what we're talking about, where if you're not able to really pressure inside of the building, you're going to struggle. They had some particle control from below, but not a lot. They got a couple of kills, but it wasn't enough to secure a plant because they weren't able to deal with any players coming on from the wide hallway. And again, yeah, just unfortunate, and it's not a surprise. 3-1 in favor of Budapest on defense. To be fair, on Cafe Dostoevsky, I'm going to be more looking forward to what they can achieve on attack. I think that's going to be the real difference here.
That is usually the real test, but Meds finding Corvin early on. Your smoke off the board, you couldn't ask for a better pick right at the start in the opening 30 seconds, and finally Meds getting a bit of revenge after being so often the victim of that first pick. He finally finds the blow himself. I'm always excited by reading room defenses. I don't know about you, Fraser, but this is probably the most interesting map, or site rather, on this map when it comes to defenses and setups. Always some form of variation from team to team, and it's a lot of inventiveness that goes around. And a lot of this strategy kind of centers around holding onto Cocktail for as long as possible, but the investment of utility, the investment of those reinforcements, especially on the top floor, can make it a completely different kettle of fish every single time. So we're seeing right now a soft freezable, which is allowing Meds to go hammer it and open up every single possible avenue. And Birch is going to make use of some of that vertical destruction, I believe, as he finds... No, in fact, that is the Jaeger going down at the back of Cocktail. And now Temp taking control as well, finding Nico from above. This reading room defense is falling apart completely at the seams. Now Kingslayer and Hufky are the only ones left alive.
Yeah, vertical control just picking apart, isolating out these defenders. And so far, there hasn't really been an answer for it, as it's all going to be up to Kingslayer. Verge so far had a lot of kills, whiffing his shots, and that's going to be a flawless round for Revenge. Seji doesn't even matter, he doesn't know what he's doing. All he needs to do is line up those shots, and look at that. Let's be honest, he's
reload.
He's outside the building. There's one player left remaining. Everyone's upstairs. He's the last player sitting out. I kind of feel bad for Seji. He's like the person you don't invite to a party, and like he's just walking past, right? And he's just looking in, and he can see everyone else having a good time at the party, and he's just left outside. But on the bright side, someone comes out. There's gonna be Kingslayer, takes him down, and again, look at that nice even spread of kills on both sides. Meds currently leading the charge for Revenge, 5-3. He's doing pretty well for himself, but, and I'm gonna throw a little spanner into the works here. I want to see what Budapest are capable of on attack, because if this is what they're capable of on defense, we all know that Cafe Dostoevsky can be pretty spicy.
It really can. And speaking of spice, we're going to be taken right down to the kitchen for our final defense of the half. Budapest looking to cook up a nice 4-2 split for themselves, but I'm a big fan of this particular hold. We've seen some inventiveness, and in fact this is reminiscent of what we saw in our very first map of the Playday with Licendi and Enclave on this site. Enclave unfortunately fell to Licendi overall, but the highlight of their defense was this kitchen site extending out into this white hall. I can't quite remember the actual call out for it. You got to help me out here right now.
VIP hallway. I usually call it VIP, like VIP
Oh
hallway
yeah,
or
VIP hallway.
freezer hallway.
That does make sense, I guess. Yeah, VIP hallway, extending into it with a couple of shields. We did see Enclave take a Goyo in, and notably Snubs managing to pick up a 4K on that particular hold, just sitting inside of VIP and doing work with the pistol. But extending particularly into this area is something that a lot of teams don't do. They tend to favor extending into the bakery, but that's something that Budapest 5 are not quite as fond of in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's been over the last couple of months that people have started to practice a little bit more, and specifically, as you mentioned, extended further towards the east, taking control of the bar. I'm playing with like a Jaeger or an ACOG operating there, with a smoke or a mute playing close inside of VIP. It's a very powerful position, but the main problem is you just need to maintain control of the staircases, because as soon as you lose control of brown stairs or pillar stairs or white stairs, it can easily fall apart. Virg's now going to be pushing up close, and that's going to be center half, rotating back towards Freezer. And again, these rotates both here and on the north wall allow for quick rotates. As Virg is going to be holding on to that Freezer rotate, is center half going to bait for it. Not looking like it just yet, and yeah, Virg giving up. Not a very patient player, obviously.
Part of the strength of this hold is that with the Thatcher ban, that electrical is very likely to stay put for the whole round, and it means that you can play very comfortably inside of Freezer, knowing that your top side is fairly well guarded. But of course, that soft destruction does come into effect, and we hear it right now this second as Sledgehammer going to work mid, delivering a lot of that from above, so it's no longer quite as safe as they'd like it. That drop, though, not being able to come in, does make a big difference, as it limits the routes that the attackers themselves can actually get in through. Look at this vertical destruction right here. Every single inch of floorboard, as much as possible, opened up by Revenge. And they have actually cleared the electric floor, so they are going to get that Thatcher open.
Yeah, I mean, 50 seconds remaining, and all of the defenders are left to find. It's like hide and seek, but, you know, with, you know, a lot more aggression, I guess. As Maverick now going to be trying to open up a little peek hole into that wide hallway. Is this going to work out for him just yet? Seiji, again, not quite sure what you're up to, but I'm excited to see it. Is going to be able to hold on to the line of sight. But again, this is what we're talking about. 25 seconds remaining, and they need to try and convert this into gained ground inside of the bomb site, as Kai's going to lose his head. Collapse starting to come on in now. 2v4 situation, and it just doesn't look like it's going to happen anymore.
Yeah, Kingslayer just playing on this diffuser as well, expecting the push from Seiji. Seiji will get that killed to pad his stats a little, but he just drops into the freezer and is met with a hail of bullets from Nico. Dealing out that round very convincingly, and Budapest 5 managed to put themselves at a fairly respectable and, gotta say, fairly expected 4-2 split.
Yeah. To the surprise of absolutely nobody on Cafe Dostoevsky. So one thing I would like to highlight with that defensive setup, and the reason why Revenge were able to establish so much verticality and so much vertical control both in mining and dining and train, was because they didn't have any roamers to deal with. The reason why they didn't have any roamers upstairs to deal with was because they were too busy on the ground floor with the extended roam presence. Both in VIP with the smoke, but also with the Jaeger. And again, it's the fact that Budapest had the roamers out. They were outside of the, you know, of the bomb site, but they were holding laterally rather than vertically. And that's something that a lot of teams sometimes struggle to deal with, is that, hey, we're going to go for a top floor roam clearance. And then they'll do that, and they'll waste like 40 seconds droning out absolutely nothing there. Because there's nobody there, because they're all downstairs, and they've wasted so much time and utility clearing the top floors, and there's no one there. It's less time for them to go for that execute, and it's just playing perfectly into the hands of the defenders.
It really does, and there's another sort of element to that, which is that lateral kind of defense works so well on Kitchen, because, as mentioned, besides that freezer drop, and that's right in the corner of the site as well, and in fact not even into the site directly, you don't have any routes in besides lateral ones. You genuinely have to approach it on that floor And it doesn't matter how much clearing out of the top you have to do. You get those bodies into the site, and that is your final step. So unless you've managed to take the ground laterally, and it's very difficult to do with all that utility invested on the bottom floor, wide and across the whole sort of perimeter of it, then you're going to have a very tough time going into it. So we're actually going to see a mirror right here as the first site that Revenge are going to take us to is the kitchen, and they've actually made quite light work of this bottom floor in stark comparison to the hold that we saw from Budapest 5, and they've already managed to find the first kill, Corvin getting Verch down.
Yeah, I mean, influential player gone off the board is going to be the Jaeger, not too important, but it will be the player holding it. As Hufke going to be pushing across, however, he doesn't spot the player just yet. Spots in Valkyrie, can't do any real damage, and he's going to get taken down. Very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, whiffing a few too many shots there. The Ash making a missed opportunity, really, for the attack to actually take control of this round right now, as they now sit back on a 4-4 man count either side. But this execute does have plenty of time to come through from Budapest 5, so despite that early trade, they are definitely in the driver's seat right here. Nico trying to find this elevated angle to work for him after that Maverick hole is made, but centre half shutting down Nerf, who was playing that mute position. I'm not quite sure where that was. Was that behind bar? I'm not sure, but either way, it's 3 versus 4 now. And like I said, the attackers taking control of this round finally. Centre half gets his second on the round as he finds meds, and that's your Womai. So lots of utility dealt with, and now finally he gets the Valkyrie, who took down Hufke earlier. It's all on Seji, who's got 58 seconds to try and burn off. He's pinned in place, takes a lot of damage from the upside down rappel, and finally taken out by Kingslayer. A solid push there from Budapest 5 as they start off their attacking half by extending their lead to 3 rounds rather. 5-2 the scoreline now.
Yeah, I mean, slight mistakes being made by the defending half, but also a couple being made by the attackers. One thing I would like to highlight with Nico, and again, apologies if I sound too much like a coach, it's a bad habit of mine. Hibana fired her Excaros onto the wall. That had obviously just been Maverick. It still had a mute jammer behind it, but instead of just firing one shot off and immediately spamming 4 with a mouse button to detonate the Excaros, she fired another charge, which is a massive misplay, because if somebody is to impact that wall, which is very likely in a lot of situations, you're going to lose 2 Excaros instead of 1. So yeah, as soon as you put down your Excaros, do your best to try and detonate them. Spam your 4 button rather than putting more down. That's a massive misplay by them. And that could have cost them potentially if it wasn't for the, you know, oh, everyone else is dead. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, that is a bit of a pain to try and circumvent as a defender. Everyone being dead generally means you've lost. So it's not a situation you want to get yourself into if you can avoid it. And like I mentioned, it was a very different kind of hold from Revenge. They sealed up shop right inside kitchen, but they didn't provide themselves any real extension to that hold, to be quite honest. There was a couple of lurking presences, but they were very easily dealt with, if I recall correctly, and it was, yeah, nowhere near the kind of inventive setup that we saw from Budapest 5 on the defenses. They didn't extend out in either direction, really, which is surprising in the current meta, but right now, we're going to be seeing how they fare on this top floor, and Sejinek's going to be taking that ever-favoured castle role on the top floor right now. Splitting off that top half is quite an interesting topic, I find, in terms of how you'd like to sight on defense. Usually, the main reason you do it is to give your player usually a mute inside of Cigar, all of the protection he needs to just sit there and wait for the opportune moment to strike.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, just sitting there as an entire deterrent. You can't drop either hatch, because if you do that, you're going to have a shotgun pretty up close to you. C4 going out, and it's going to be wasted as Corvin going to be hopping back out and around, going to be likely going towards the hatch. Oh, yep, going up for the hatch. Bit of a misstep there. As you mentioned, you normally have a shield ADS set up there to allow the smoke or the mute to play there for as long as possible. In fact, we're not really seeing that, and the ADS is going to be non-existent pretty much there. It's already been used up for a grenade going out. So you're gonna miss. Is it unfortunate there? Bit of waste of utility by Kingslayer. So Habana's gonna drop, and Smoke might be able to challenge us if he chooses to, if he plays his cards right.
You can hear the blowtorch doing its work around the corner. That's going to be Maverick opening up a little rotate so that the attackers can make their way through into Piano from red stairs at will. But there's actually a player right on the other side of it. I don't know if you see that little silhouette just prone. It's Temp waiting and trying to get that position to work for himself. But Nerf in the meantime in the right spot to do some damage. Immediately refragged, but Meds finds Corvin in response. Temp playing so close to this wall. He's got the mute jammer to help him as well. He's not going to be detected right here. The peek coming through there from Nico, and it loses him his life as Temp, playing so close with this org in hand, shuts down the third attacker, leaving just 2 standing. But a great shot there from center half, nailing the head of Temp through the bar, giving them something to work with in this late round now. 40 seconds left, and they do have the utility necessary to be able to open up this castle barricade, but they might not want to do that as they're going for this cigar shop push and maybe trying to get the diffuser down in cover could be the play, but they have to worry about that open wall on their right that's challenging Husky, and it's cost him his life, and now it's all up to center half. Finds one, but he can't find the second as a perfect crossfire comes out between Meds and the Jaeger. That's going to be it for the attack, and a nice aggressive hold in Piano, basically sealing that round for the defense of Revenge.
Yeah, I mean, the aggression coming out, that was just completely uncontested. And it felt like, Budapest didn't really know what they wanted to do there. They opened up through red. It didn't really work out, so they try and go in through, cigar and into the bar, and that didn't really work out. And then they're just kind of left in the middle of the bomb site with a crossfire with like 3 defenders, and pretty much, yeah, that ain't happening, unfortunately, for centre half. 3-5 in favour of the orange team as Budapest. They can still pull it back. I think Budapest can still win a couple more rounds here and there. Obviously, the onus will be on the defenders, as it is Cafe Dostoevsky. We are all too familiar with how this game plays out. We're going to be going over to reading. And I know that you're a big fan of this bomb site. You like how it's played. I'm going to be looking towards the top floor, and in particular how Revenge will be setting up here, whether we're going to be seeing a presence on Cocktail or through Piano, because we do see an extended roam presence being very powerful on this top floor. If you're able to waste as much time utility as possible, boom, you've just won a free round pretty much. If they're able to pull this through. Revenge, very powerful team. They've got some real fraggers on their side, and if they're going to be able to, score a couple of kills here and there, that could put them at a massive advantage moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm going to bet that right now we're actually going to see Revenge do fairly well on this defense, based on the fact that they were so convincing on the attack here, and that just speaks to potentially a side that really knows what they're doing when it comes to reading both on attack and defense. You do need to kind of have a good understanding of how a site is defended to be able to attack it as effectively as they did in their attacking half. And I want to point out as well, that particular double reinforcement, probably my favorite way of approaching this defense, the one between Freezer and the top of White, it's been electroclawed as well. That essentially cuts the entire site into 2 lanes, or this entire push on the top floor into 2 lanes. You've got to either come through that big double door that we see the Jaeger playing right now, or you've got to come along the White corridor. And right now, there's resistance in both of those lanes, and centre half is going to have his work cut out for him, trying to clear this ADS and the shield, and Meds playing behind it. Ooh, yeah, landing a few shots there onto the... no, he didn't in fact land any shots to Zofia. You're just going to hold fast right here. Sejinex taking a little bit of damage elsewhere. That first flashbang being caught by the Wamais, but it's misplaced, and they pulled back towards him, and he gets taken out by Corvin there on the rappel.
One power left for both teams, as Maverick going to be more of a loss than the Wamai, if I'm honest here, as, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely going to slow down Budapest and their attack. Momentum pretty much non-existent at this point, as they're basically just holding onto the lines of sight, waiting for somebody to make a call as to what they want to do. Centre half now going to be pushing across, pushing in through into bathroom. If he's able to hold on to White, should allow more of their attackers to push in and try and take Cocktail. There's nobody playing there anymore, But again, being able to take that, open it up with breaching charges or any lifelines that are available, doesn't look like there are any available anymore, would allow them to try and displace some of these defenders that are playing downstairs.
With 40 seconds left almost on the clock, and centre half beginning this push now by finding Virch, the Jaeger, off the board, and it looks like this Ash is going to walk right into the line of sight of Temp, who snags the head for himself. With 29 seconds left, we've still got the smoke available, and he's going to be smoking off that entrance to the site, but it looks like they're flooding in, and the A push is on right here. Seji finds Corbin, but the diffuser is going to be stuck by Nico. The cover from above might be enough. The smoke coming out, and it doesn't do enough to deny the plant. Centre half find one, but Seji refrags onto the planter, and it's all up to centre half to try and protect this now in the post plant. The diffuser being stuck, but he's caught out by throwing the C4, and he's just got to spray around the corner, but no! Incredible stuff there from the mute. Oh, smoke of Seji next. Finding centre half in the post plant, and now he's able, with ample time, to defuse that. Disable the diffuser. Incredible stuff there from Revenge on the retake.
What a clutch by that smoke. Seji being able to respond as soon as the Kaid went down. Wow. Brilliant performance. And again, this is why I'm terrified of smoke. This is why I don't like playing against smoke players, because again, that shotgun SMG combo can be insane. Centre half, 13 kills, 2 assists, 6 deaths so far. Yeah, so far it's looking pretty good for both teams. Is there any standout players for you right now, do you feel?
Well, centre half is definitely the one that's, jumps out at you. But I've got to say, it's really difficult to pick. Honestly, there's a few here and there, and everyone's kind of coming up in different moments. Right there, the smoke play of I've forgotten the name, and it's just disappeared off the screen. Perfect timing for me. The smoke play of course, Seji doing absolute wonders in the final few moments, and like you said, it's just such hell to play against those gas canisters when it comes to the final few moments. So everyone's kind of having their moment in the sun. We saw Meds as well, pushing up 10 kills, and he's had his moments throughout this match, and in the last one as well. But yeah, I think really it's been an even contest, especially with just the sort of sole hard support sitting at the bottom, as you might expect them to, and the rest of the team are fairly kind of even for the most part. Obviously, right now, what we're looking at is Meds and Seji really putting up the numbers on one side and centre half on the other. So, slightly different story here, but you can bet that might reassert its balance in the next few rounds as we come back down to the kitchen.
Well, I mean, speaking of players that jump out at you, yeah, definitely looking like Kingslayer is struggling a little bit since he can no longer jump out of any said windows. He's instead going to be attacking through them. And it just doesn't really seem to have the same ring to it. As, again, kitchen take should be something that Budapest are fairly comfortable with going on into this. In all likelihood, we're going to be seeing presence established through the bakery. And potentially even another push in through the northern side. If Hufkey can avoid getting his head taken off by a Valkyrie this time, it might put them in a better position moving forward. Sprays and praise going on through towards Meds, but they don't land any shots just yet. Again, Kingslayer now going to be opening up the bakery wall, which should allow Nico a line of sight all the way across towards Frieza, and that's going to be a pivotal position there to deny any rotates between the bomb sites.
It is, of course, but he does have to prize his life as the Hibana in this situation. Obviously, as soon as Kingslayer's opened this up, he can begin using that soft destruction and perfectly timed aggression there. Great angle being held by the Hibana, and in the meantime, Hufkey as well finding another onto the defender, and that's leaving them in a 5 versus 3 already. Only half the round gone. A 2 versus 5 now for the attack as centre half gets Meds, and this is just an absolute whitewash right here we're seeing from Budapest 5. They may well be pushing this onto match point within a matter of seconds.
I mean, definitely feeling very confident taking this bomb site. That's going to be a refrag and a half. Are they going to be able to get a second one? Yes, he will. But ultimately, it does not matter as Budapest bring it back. It looked kind of dodgy there for a little second or two, but Kingslayer is able to try and bring it back. Brilliant performance overall. And again, not a surprise, we're now going to be going over to round 11 match point for Budapest 5.
Yeah, match point Indeed, and they didn't manage to get to match point last time around, so they're actually within touching distance of gathering 4 points of Playday now after that draw on Clubhouse. Centre half pushing up to 15 kills for this match. He's been really going at it, and that was such a close one. We saw the Valkyrie almost clutch it out there, getting that big double kill near the end, giving them hope, but Kingslayer and co just in such good positions to try and refrag, and honestly, the 1v5 was always going to be a real challenge, but it's impressive when Budapest 5 play. It's quite often the case. You see them play on attack, and they're just very, very good at refragging. They're always, buddied up, making sure that they have each other's backs. It's rare that you see them kind of swept aside in flawless rounds, but, I mean, it does happen to them, but yeah, they seem to be a very good refragging side from what I've seen.
So essentially what you're saying is they're really good at dying and then able to pick it back at the last minute. That's what you're saying.
A lot of the time, yeah. I mean, sometimes they just let it go.
What happened to the positivity and the optimism? You're basically saying, oh, don't worry, lads. You're really good at dying, but on the bright side, your friend is better at getting the kill than you. That's what you're saying, Jerry. Can we just please, ladies and gentlemen, anybody watching ACS, can we please quote that? Jerry is officially saying, as a caster, he's officially stating that Budapest 5 is good at dying, and they've got good mates that are able to get the kill that they're not able to achieve.
Jerry, I will neither confirm nor deny this.
I'm ashamed of you. 6-5 or 6-4 even. Holy. 6-4 in favor of Budapest 5. One more round is all that they need, and potentially they could pick it up. We know how they feel with the top floor. It's not their best, let's be honest. Pretty sure they've lost every time that they've tried to take it. But let's have some optimism and positivity in our lives, because that's what we are here for. They can do this if they try. Possibly.
That's the asterisk at the end of that, is possibly. We haven't actually seen Revenge play any Cafe this entire season, so either they're not as well practiced on it, or they're going into this with the hope that there's just no intel going into against them from Budapest 5. But right now they are struggling. They are under the caution. They do have to try and win both of the remaining rounds to draw this level. Nerf still sitting here in this advanced position inside of Cigar, but he can't get too aggressive as Maverick is holding from New Hatch, so doesn't want to push up. And the swing coming out for Havana, but nothing comes from that. And Kingslayer actually taken out on New Hatch, but immediately the refrag coming out from center half, and that's the mute dealt with. Impressive stuff from Verge to take that fight through the hatch.
Yeah, I mean, being able to land that shot is very important. And again, being able to maintain the status quo, so to speak, is absolutely important. If you want to win this round, you need to be able to get these refrags. And so far, it looks like Budapest 5 has kind of slowed down a little bit, so they want to try and figure out what they want to try and do here. They're going to be pushing in through New Balcony. They've got line of sight. They could try and force this push. However, Zofia opens up into Piano. And again, it's a little bit worrisome that they're doing this, opening up an additional lane for the defenders to try and rotate through. Centre half, they're going to have to try and figure out what he wants to do here to get rid of something. But, yep. Oh my, ADS is just going to burn that away.
It is, and now we sit here with the advantage in favour of the defenders after that pick, and centre half as well, knocked down to about, I always try and estimate these HP totals, let's say 35 or so.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter though, is we've got Temp taking out Hufkey and immediately being refragged there by, Temp, sorry, refragging onto Hufkey. Sejunex taking out Nico means that we're all left in a 1 versus 3. Centre half. It's got it all to do with 20 seconds left. Diffuser has been dropped inside a freezer as well, so there's no way he can go for the blind. He has to try and get these frags. His location pretty much known as he exposes his head, but he does make the kill onto Seji. He's got 2 to find, and they're both holding a crossfire in Cocktail, spraying common spots, but he's got absolutely no time left, and he doesn't have time even to rush in. Finds the Jaeger. No, he doesn't actually. Jaeger puts him down. Verch with an excellent round, opening the floodgate for Revenge and closing them tight shut at the end. And Revenge managed to keep themselves in this one.
When you try your best, but you don't succeed.
A great man once said it.
When you get what you want, but not what you need, Jerry.
Centre half getting 2 kills that round. But it's not what he needed. He had to get the win just padding stats at this point.
Yeah.
Chris
6-5
Martin-
still in favour of Budapest. Revenge can pull it back one more round. So look at it. There's one final push. Alright, it's like that scene in Armageddon with Bruce Willis.
Oh, the references.
You know the one I'm on about, right?
I actually haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
What?
I'm more of a Coldplay fan than a Bruce Willis fan. Let's just put it that way. That
You
might be
can't
blasphemy.
wait. Coldplay. That's a bond.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that the two, it's apples and oranges, really. But I'm Jerry the Music Man.
How is it apples and oranges? One is a music band, and one of them's an actor.
Exactly. It's two different art forms.
Let's carry on with the game before I lose my wits.
You've been twisting my words as well. I'm not happy with that. We'll talk about that afterwards. But anyway, yeah, let's carry on with the game, like you said. We have a reading room defense, and as you know, this excites me to my very core.
I can't blame you. It's very exciting. I love seeing the variation that a lot of teams bring out here, specifically because there's so many ways that you can hold it with different operators, different styles of hold, whether it's, bring out Mira, Maestro, you use ACOGs, whether you hold inside a piano with shields, Goyo shields, etc. There's so much you can do with it, especially when you use, for example, my favorite combination, Mute Mozi combo. When used in conjunction, denies the drone working communication and it wastes so much time, and it is perfect for a map like this. The fact that we haven't seen a Mozi being brought out is a bit of a shame, but it's kind of understandable when you do need to make sure that you've got enough operators to enable that site building. For example, you need to have, 2 shotguns to be able to successfully build the site in the time available to you. So yeah, not a massive surprise, still a bit of a shame.
You know what? I don't think we've seen a Mozzie all day. I've been
No, we
casting for
haven't.
4 matches, and it's been literally no Mozzie, plenty of mute, and yeah, interesting to see what a super shorty being dropped from the loadout will do, because he was definitely a mainstay for the longest time.
I
now,
do have to admit that the major reason why will be the lack of the super shorty. You need to have 2 shotguns to build a site. It quickly, that's usually going to be like a mute or smoke, and an alibi, Mira, Maestro, etc. So primary shotgun and secondary shotgun. Nowadays, we're currently seeing 2 shotguns being brought out, but shotgun is not what's going to be downing center half. It's going to be a guy with a gun that's other than a shotgun.
well,
yeah,
but
I
with
don't
the
know.
Husky managing to claim that Session X there, as Husky is taken down in response. Centre half managing to be picked back up there by teammates, so sitting on 20 health instead of the 1 that you would be if you withstood, but Virch also falling down to about 12 HP now, and pretty even standing. I say that as Kingslayer eats the better half of a C4 right there, being taken down to about 60 and not by himself. So now all the defenders having fallen back to site, and Meds playing this extended position inside of mining to try and prevent a pillars push into reading. We've got an exciting minute of the round. Exciting final minute around about to play out in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, looks like Budapest now going to be dropping down, and likely going to go for the same style of plan and push. But look at that shot from Pillar! That's what you're droning out there. Jaeger's going to get taken down, but that's going to be a double kill for Corvin. 2 defenders left to find, and 2 attackers left to find, even 5 seconds remaining. Are they going to be able to do this?
Yeah, the double kill going back and forth. There is Corvin now taking the opportunity to go straight on in, and centre half with this perfect cover prevents the rotate from 10, but now it's all down to Nerf, but he shotguns down Corvin and finishes him off with a knife. Centre half drops in, and it's a win. There for Revenge, they take the draw on the day. Excellent play from Nerf to prevent that comeback there, and in fact prevent the win there from Budapest 5. An excellent comeback. They were 6-4 down, 6-6 the final score now, and 2 draws. Centre half with 18 kills, but it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Just the 1 point for his team.
Wow. Alright, centre half really showing what happens when you stick G Fuel on top of your Frosties. As, yep, just 18 kills, but at the end of the day, it's just not a win. As, yeah, well played to Revenge. Brilliant performance by all of their team. I thoroughly enjoyed that game, and wow. I honestly never thought that a Cafe Dostoevsky game could be that exciting, but here we are. I enjoyed that, Jerry.
I really did as well. I think the real winner today is draws. Who doesn't like draws, really? When they get that close, that's just, some real heart pumping stuff, and point for both teams. In fact, 2 points for both because they get 2 draws. Means these 2 teams basically have just turned up to each other and said, you know what, we're perfectly evenly matched, and I can't think of a more fitting way to end it. So that is going to be it from us today on the stream. And like you said, Fraser, it's been an absolute pleasure. There's been a really enjoyable cast with you, and I hope you'll agree with the same. We're going to be seeing